Well, I think I'll take this opportunity to talk about quiet. Feel free to help yourself, continue to help yourself with the refreshments, or anybody's feeling because you go back over there. Some of you maybe knew I'm Mark Westcott, I'm the president. I've got a few more months left on my term. I told somebody, I got a couple of complaints about something the other day, and I told them, well, you know, I wasn't looking for a job when I got this one. I don't have much time left, so you want to put over much longer. We just had, Margaret and Gene and I just had lunch with Tim Lee. He should be coming in 20 minutes, so he came into town last night, so he's here. He had a couple of phone calls to catch up on, there's something going on in Congress, with new leadership with the web situation. I don't know the details on it, so I'm not going to, he'll probably mention that along with quite a few other things. Anyway, we can go ahead and come to order, and Paula, would you lead us with lead the pledges for us?
We all stand, please? But I can stand right here. Okay. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, state for Texas.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
Right. While we're waiting for Tim, I think we can cover a few other things. We have to be out of here, I think, by 3:45 today, because something is going on in this room after we leave, or at 4 o'clock. I have foundation on the agenda. Gene, would you like to talk about foundation now while we're waiting for Tim? I could catch you off guard when we've got a minute, so.
In case you're not familiar, this is Foundation Month. November is always Foundation Month, so we normally just have the basket back there, but today I'm going to pass it. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about it. We have come up with a fund. It was about 3 or 4 years ago in Houston. It's called the Larry Pritchard Fund, and it's two men that have been really done a good job or done a lot for TRTA, so that's why they named it about them. At first, they asked us to put if each member would put $30 a month in, we would have enough. And what the Larry Pritchard Fund is for, endowment fund, is for us to keep having the Helping Hand program, which I think a lot of us know about. What now? No, I'm sorry, $30, a one-time $30. Thank you. A one-time $30 payment. Excuse me. I didn't give mine at the Houston one, but when I got back home, then I did it on the back of your voice. There's a little thing that there might be some in here. That you can, if you want to designate it to something, you can. And so, thank you, Lynn. But one-time thing. Well, now they're asking. They have $160,000 that's been raised since they started this. By December of 2019, if we haven't raised the $200,000 to get it started, they're just going to put it back into the TRTF fund, and it'll go to Helping Hand, but it won't, what's the word I want? Keep that going, okay? And that's what we want to do. If you could, now they're asking if you will do a one-time $5 payment. And so I have an envelope in here that if you want to designate it to that, stick your money into that envelope, and we'll make sure that it gets to that fund. But you have to designate it to that. And anytime you give, you can do that, because there's these several things. Where your money goes, last year, when Hurricane Harvey came through, they distributed $160,000 to more than 450 retired and active teachers that needed help. And so that's one way it's been used. When the big explosion in out in the city of West Texas, they gave a bunch of money. They sent money out there for that, so it's been used for that. In 2019, we will provide $20,000 in grants for retirees in critical need through the Helping Hand. So they've already got that set up for this coming year. TRTF will provide 21 $750 beginning teacher scholarships that will be given to recent college graduates who will be teaching for the first time in 2019. And that's an increase of, we had 14 last year, and they're giving 21 this year. TRTF will provide $3,500 classroom assistant grants to public school teachers. And if you get the TRTF email, they have little videos on there. There was one about a lady, she works with mentally challenged students in middle school, and they fixed up this little cart, and they take it around to the teachers. The teachers have to order it, and the kids have to man it. They sign in like they're going to work, like they're signing their, time card. It was really cool, so if you want to watch it. And then they go to the teacher's room, and one person's in charge of taking the money, and one person's in charge of greeting them at the door, and then someone else is in charge of when they get back to the room counting the money. So they're really using it in a way. And then I forgot another man used it. I forgot there was another one about another man using it for something. But they show those if you get that TRTF email, they'll show that. So those are the ways that our money, you can also donate in gift of a loved one or a set of flowers if you want to do that. But I'm going to start this around. I'll just pass it down the road. Also, one more thing. Our district president, Linda Montoya, told us last year at the district convention that or the district conference, if you do itemized on your IRS, I know $5 or $2 maybe not be a lot, but if on your agenda today, if you give some money, if you'll write the amount that you made, if you don't do a check and you did cash, write it on there and put that in your income tax, then that will count as a deduction, because you can't get a deduction for giving for that. So if you would please do that today. It just goes to a lot of things. Yeah. Oh, okay. You want to tell about that?
Well, do you know how to count it? Do you know how to pick it up?
No, you're the one that said you were going to do it at our last meeting. Kevin offered the gift certificate, so I'm going to let him talk about this.
Here's a $100 gift card to Dakota's. That's a pretty nice little place to eat here in town. And the way that we want to find out who gets this is who brought or invited and they came the most guests today. How many of you brought, invited, and they came new people? And you're the ones that always come. How many of you brought 5?
I tried.
They gotta be here. They gotta be here.
Hold up your hand if you came with me.
How many came with you? Can anybody beat that? That's 4, I see, besides Wayne.
There's Jan.
All right, well, you win it, Wayne. Give Wayne a hand clap.
Thank you all. Look at the agenda. If you notice, there's some indentions that don't belong there. I do the agenda, and my computer recently upgraded Microsoft Word. There's some things it does that I haven't figured out how to work around it, and it automatically indents sometimes. And anyway, I've got to go in and try to find out how to turn that off. I feel good that it's in a good shape as it is. But it seems like every time I learn how to do something, it all starts over again. I'm lost.
I had one more thing that's legislative. Is that okay? I was supposed to tell it. Now we need to go see these elected officials. I don't know if Jack will back me up on this, but in the legislative meeting in Austin last year, they said the 4 ways that we contact people. Face-to-face is the best one, okay? Go see them. The next one is a handwritten letter, not an email. Okay, email's last. So if you would write a handwritten letter to your representative or your senator, that's state or national. And the next one is, thank you, phone call. And then the last one is email. So that's the order that it makes an impression on them in. So on the back table, I'm going to put this back there, we have several people that live in the Chandler area. And so I tried to include everybody I could. I even live in Cherokee County, so the people that are in Smith County are not my representative or my senator. But I have Keith Bell, District 4, he is brand new, he just got elected. District 5 is Cole Hefner, and I know that's only like northern Smith County, but we may have some people that he represents. Matt Schaefer, District 6, I'm trying to point out here because Jack Short is his second first in man. District 11, Travis Hardy, because he's the person in my district. And then Senator Robert Nichols is the state senator for Cherokee, and I know he's for Margaret lives in Anderson. He's for Anderson. He's also for the people in Chandler. So we're trying to make sure. So if you have a person that like where you live that I didn't mention their name, we can add their name on here. We would like to. We're going to try to go see them. I have a place for like 3 people to sign up. It'd be nice if somebody who lives in their district that is actually their constituent to go with us. And so I was putting that down because, like, if I went to see Matt Schaefer, I don't, I'm not his constituent, but hopefully you see that, or Cole Hefner or Keith Bell, none of those are mine. But anyway, this is going to be on the back table if you're interested. If you'd like to go. What now? Well, I did put him on there because Mark and I went to see him in the fall. Margaret's going back one day, and I told her I would go with him, so I can add him on here if somebody would like to go see him. Thank you. I just didn't put him on because of that.
She go with me.
Okay. All right. So that was
Jim, when is Jim? What, since you're still talking legislative, what do you know about the gentleman that is proposed to be the new Speaker of the House?
I don't. You might ask Tim. He brought him up a little bit when we were talking today.
Address that, because,
Okay.
The legislature, with him and if he is the Speaker, will be heavily weighted to the South Houston area.
Okay.
And he made a remark today in an article I was reading in the Dallas News that the people in West Texas and the people in the Piney Woods are going to be forgotten. And that means us.
Okay. Well, I just know, of course, this is water under the bridge now,
I'm
but
not sure how to pronounce his name.
He falls right in there.
oh,
Could I make,
Yeah, he's from Anchorage.
As he came up to politics to get votes in the state reps, he grew in favorability, and he's working with all parties, all parts of the Republican Party. They're gonna have a December 1 caucus vote, which will be certified that he can get the nomination. And then the very first order of business at the House is they're gonna vote for him. And that vote will include the Democrats. So the whole purpose of the December 1 caucus is to get somebody that satisfies the whole spectrum of Republicans. And then, they'll have the vote on the House floor. And he's come along, everybody seems to be pleased with it.
And he was the pro tem.
Yes,
Oh,
yes. So he hasn't made anybody mad yet.
yeah. That could, though, if that gets out, people read it wrong.
Oh, no, but that's what
Yeah.
Matt said, is he
Okay.
took the time to go politic with every faction that's in the Republican Party. He was gaining confidence, and people enjoyed, the discourse back and forth. And so he really did garner the votes. It's not somebody's getting slammed down in the throat.
I just know at the district convention, like I said, water under the bridge, Travis Clardy was going to put
It's
his name in
Dennis
that.
Bond,
But
his
that's,
brother's another, Greg Bond.
it didn't happen.
Bond, B-O-N-N-E. And he's got a brother that's a state rep too. And his brother's a surgeon, I believe. But he's out of Angleton, Texas. So, it's not, he's doing his due diligence to make sure that all parties are satisfied at this juncture.
I would say to that also that the issues with teachers and retired teachers in Houston are not different from those in Dallas or other parts of the state. I don't think that's going to be a big factor. But anyway, I'll do one more thing. I see our guest has arrived, and I'll get this out of the way. That we have review of October minutes. If you've had time to look at that, if you haven't, look at it quickly and let us know if you object to anything. And Jan, do you have anything to add about the treasurer?
No, I think mine's self-explanatory.
Okay, I'm gonna come back to that later.
And one thing I didn't tell on this is I asked you to put your phone number, because we don't have anything set up yet. Margaret has called Brian Hughes, but hasn't heard back from me yet, and we haven't called any of these others, so your phone number will help if we won't have to look you up in the book. so that we can call you and let you know when the meetings are with the legislators.
You have an issue of a bell ringer coming out, it will have their name, the requisite senator's name and phone numbers and email addresses included in that newsletter, which should be out probably, right, Debbie, pretty soon. Okay, thank you. I see Tim has arrived, and we're going to try to devote as much time as we can. I'm going to do a brief introduction because everybody knows Tim. And I will say that for a Yankee, he's done a great job for us. He went to Indiana State University, and I believe Illinois, and University of Illinois, et cetera. But he's been working in our behalf for a long time now, and I've never seen anybody work as energetically and enthusiastically in our support, or support of anybody as he does. He's the most knowledgeable person about our issues that I know of, and he's got a great staff. I know that they're the same way. But I admire him for one thing. I know he has a lot of frustrating situations, but he always maintains a positive attitude and works at it to correct the right way. And without his leadership, I'm not sure where we'd be right now after the last session. So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Tim.
Sounds good. All day. Herb. I'm back in Smith County, baby. I love being here. It is gorgeous. I love Tyler, Texas. I could live in Tyler. I could sell the house in Dripping Springs and move here. How would y'all like to have 6 more people move into Tyler? This place is just growing unbelievably. It is amazing how much growth is going on in Tyler. I love it. I love it. We were talking about your local just during our little lunch session, and I want to see major growth in this local, and I want to work with you guys in whatever way we can make that happen. I've got this crazy idea. We really didn't get to talk about it as much as I wanted to during the lunch, but I want to see if we can adopt several local units around the state with full TRTA state association back support, and say, look, we want to find one in East Texas, I want to find one in North Texas, and I want to get one in West Texas and down in the valley, and I just want to say, in these 4 locals, what can we do to get more people involved in this organization? We are not a partisan organization. We're a powerful organization. We have 400,000 retirees in the state of Texas. We have 1.1 million active school employees. We have 91,000 members that belong to this organization. We're the 2nd largest educator organization in the state, behind ATPE, which is an active teacher organization. But besides ATPE, we've got more members than anybody else. We've got more members than a lot of other associations combined. We're the largest retired teachers association in the nation. So people are not joining the same way they did 10 years ago. I've been with retired teachers since 1996, and it's changed 3 times since I've been an executive director at the age of 21. Well, I'm 43 now. And I can tell you right now that my generation sees things differently than my parents' generation. My parents are a silent generation. All right, so then you've got right after the silent generation, they're at the end of the silent generation. So right after the silent generation, you've got the most non-silent people you've ever met in your life, the baby boomers. And so that's kind of where we are. I mean, that is the generation of retirement that's going on, and those folks are entirely different than my folks. And Generation Xers, which is what I am, and we have maybe just a couple other generations of Xers in here, they're totally different than the millennials. Ain't nobody like the millennials. We all like to pick on the millennials, but I have to tell you, the millennials are interesting to me, and this is not part of my speech, this is just extra for today. You talk about some of the most giving people there are. It is the millennial generation. Their buying habits are based on companies that have some perception of giving back to a community. And so we might pick on the millennials as being this goofy group of people that are just whatever's going on with millennials, but But from a how do you prepare for these kinds of folks? They're the kind of folks that someday they will take our 501c3 and they will look at that as the more powerful arm of our association activities. So 501c3, as most of you know, that's your not-for-profit charitable arm. So TRTA 501c4, it's a not-for-profit education component. We can have members. 501c3 is our charitable arm. So we're at the end of what we call Foundation Month. And yes, I am sure that you think that getting those emails from me about charity, our charitable arm, they probably get tiring. But for the people in Houston and in Corpus and in lots of other places around our coastal areas, when we gave away $164,000 after Hurricane Harvey, those people desperately needed your help, and you all stepped up. We have one of our members gave $100,000 to that effort. So our charitable arm is vitally important to what we get accomplished, and we have more and more people. It may not be anybody in this room, but I promise you there is somebody you may know that may need some charitable assistance. Healthcare costs are going up faster than any of us can pay these days. And so if you know somebody who needs some help from our charitable arm, tell them to get to know the Texas Retired Teachers Foundation. That's why we're raising those dollars to do these things. So now, on to the real purpose of me being here. I'll start talking about the windfall, just because it is what is on my mind right now. Because I am leaving her right after this to go to Washington. We have until the 7th of December, really, to try and get the Congress to take action on Mr. Brady, Kevin Brady's bill, to change this windfall elimination provision. We perceive this to be sort of a lame duck issue, and here we are. We are at the lame duck period of time. And so, what does this mean? Well, for everybody in this room who's affected by the windfall elimination provision, you did your teaching profession, you earned some Social Security quarters, and you earned the right to be treated fair. Can anybody think of a better way of saying something other than, I just want you to treat me in a fair way? And that's all we're asking. The current windfall elimination provision, created in the early 1980s, is not fair. It takes every single person who's affected by that provision and says, we will treat you all the same by reducing your Social Security quarters over a period of time, not based on what you paid in, but on this arbitrary one-size-fits-all formula. And for the last almost 4 years now, we have tried to get a bill passed in Congress that will make the situation fair for all future retirees. Well, we're current retirees. What about us? The answer is, Social Security is a very difficult thing to get done, anything on. This is going to be very transparent today. And I'm going to step on everybody's political persuasion when it comes to what party do you support. The Democrats in Congress do not want to make a change to Social Security at all. Because if you make a change to Social Security, it could open up the door to some other section of change in Social Security. And their biggest argument is against the Brady bill is that if you make a change for fairness, then somebody potentially loses. And in Washington, just like in the state legislature, we talk about winners and losers. And Brady's bill creates a potential losing scenario for some public workers that don't want any change. That's really close. And to be very frank, those public workers are far more powerful than you educators are, than we educators are. What mystery group is this that has so much power? You might want to guess? Firemen? Exactly right. Firefighters. Now, just like you shouldn't paint every elected official with a broad brush of whatever we want to think about elected officials, you cannot paint every firefighter with this broad brush of saying, well, if some firefighters in the Northeast are opposed to this, then apparently all firefighters are opposed to this. That is not true. The firefighters in Texas have been solidly with Brady ever since this thing was put together. And there are firefighters groups around the country that are still supporting this, but you have an extremely powerful International Association of Firefighters Union out of the Northeast Territory that just says, nope, we are not for it because we perceive to lose a few dollars a month in our future. Because the current windfall says that unlike Social Security, the current windfall says that you get the 30-year average and your Social Security benefits calculated on a 30-year formula instead of what the private sector uses, which is a 35-year formula. So I don't pay in the TRS. I pay the Social Security into a private savings account. So I will retire with my retirement security floor not being teacher retirement system and not being ERS, but my primary security is going to be Social Security system. And so when I go to collect my Social Security, they will calculate my benefits on 35 years of work history. But under a public plan that is not coordinated with Social Security, the current Social Security law says that those people will have calculation of a 30-year average, not a 35-year average. And why that is, I don't know. That was a long time ago that all these people made these decisions. It was 1981, 82. When this stuff was going on. And you can talk to a bunch of people on Capitol Hill right now, and they don't know either. All they know is it creates the current reality that if you change that 30 to 35, some firefighter out there is going to say, I'm going to lose some money a month. How much money? We believe that average is around $20 a month. Could be as little as $5. Could be as high as $70. But the current retired educator is losing $400 a month because of this windfall elimination provision. So we stand to gain 10 times more than what the firefighters will lose. And yet they block us in Congress from moving this thing forward. And they have lots of help. Because I'm just going to, again, be very honest. Honesty sometimes gets me into a lot of trouble. The issue of the windfall elimination means something to us because we want to resolve or solve a problem that we think should be fixed. But there are some people who could not care less about fixing a problem so long as you can use it as a weapon to attack someone else. And there is a lot of politics that goes on in this country that I'm not participating in. And so, if you're a Democrat in California, you can beat up a Republican pretty easily by saying those darn Republicans never ever want to do anything to solve this problem. We want to fix it by getting a full repeal. And so you can just lambast a Republican easily in some other part of this country and say, I'm a Democrat, I'm trying to fix it, we've got a bill out there that says full repeal or nothing. It's those Republicans that are standing in your way. Okay? Now, for all of you Republicans out there that just felt like we were as pure as the white driven snow, no! The Republicans have their own reasons for not wanting to fix this. They could easily find a few dollars in that massive, uncontrolled, out of control budgetary mess that we've got going on in Congress right now. Billions and trillions of dollars are being spent on tax breaks, on find whatever it is you want. Somebody who is an interest in Washington is getting their nest feathered by the current Republican regime. And the Democrats are going to take over. So again, I'm not attacking one group over the other. I'm telling you, this is the way the game is played. The Democrats are not in control. They will take control of the House. I have been working this issue for 20 years. I have seen Republican presidents and Democratic Congresses. I have seen Democratic presidents and Republican Congresses. I have seen Democrat and Republican presidents. And I have seen split congressional Senate R, House D, vice versa. And no one has ever come up with a solution to this problem more than Kevin Brady. By saying, look, Republicans, we'll spend a little bit on Social Security to make this right, and I need your vote. And he's got Republicans in Congress that will say, I'm not spending a dime on Social Security. It's already overpriced and overburdened. And his answer to that is, you are stealing money from these teachers and these public workers with this unfair, arbitrary formula. You know as well as I do that this is garbage. We should put a small pittance of money in there to fix it. Because you shouldn't have it to begin with. And they say, no, I won't work with a Democrat. And the Democrats say, I won't give the Republicans a victory. And we've got 3 days to figure out how to get everybody to come together and say, doesn't this look good? We found a way to make it happen. So I'm leaving to go to Washington to try and talk to the liberals in Massachusetts and the conservatives in Texas to see if we can find some middle ground. And honestly, all joking aside, and yes, there was a little bit of hyperbole and just fun in that. You do have a very liberal member named Richie Neal in Massachusetts who is working arm in arm with an extremely conservative tax writing specialist named Kevin Brady out of the Woodlands in Texas in saying you can come together, Democrat and Republican, and find better public policy for our education retirees, our first responder retirees, all of these people out there who need this help. Can we get it done? And what does that mean for you personally in your checkbook? It means that every December, from now until for the rest of your life, if you're currently affected by the web, you'll start receiving from the federal government $1,200 every December. It'll just be a flat payment. Payment will be indexed to cost increases or inflationary increases with Social Security. And then over a few years, that $1,200 will become $2,400. And then a few years later after that, it'll become double again. The problem that we have is that there are lots of things that govern how the Social Security system is determined. Things about bills that can get passed, rules that go into effect, all kinds of stuff. Brady's bill actually saves the federal government money over time. But you cannot count your chickens until the eggs hatch. Now the Congress is controlling the eggs in the chickens, or the chickens in the eggs, whichever way it comes first, right? So they know what the savings are going to be, but they can't give us credit for it. It's a whole long answer. The point is, we have given up so much of our benefit to get everybody else to the table that all we have right now is $1,200 every December for the rest of your life, and then it goes up and up and up. But that's better than nothing.
Amen.
Because nothing is nothing. Go ahead.
Okay, while you're saying this 1,200, how about those of us that we started teaching late in life?
Yep.
We have Social Security that we paid into from what, we were 15, 16 years old.
Yep.
So where does that fall into? Would
Great
that
question. It's a great question. So, go back to my firefighters discussion. They don't want the new WEP formula, the FAIR formula, to impact them for at least 30 years. And Brady has said, I'll give you a 10-year window. So if you're a current, active, or retired person, and you're age 55 or older, you will have the old WEP and the rebate, which is that $1,200.
So we get the 1/3 each month or whatever the calculation thing
And
is, plus the
$1,200, and it'll increase over time.
Why do you not get those?
Okay, I'll come right back to that in a second. If you're under the age of 55, you will have the new WEP formula, which will pay you based on what you paid in. So that's kind of the breakdown.
Paid into what though?
Paid into Social Security.
Well, some of these people that are teachers, they came right out of high school, went to college,
Yep.
went
Yep.
right into
Yep.
teaching.
Yep.
And therefore, they never really
then if they don't have enough quarters, not earning Social Security or on their own work history right now. So that's a provision that is, this is personally earned income on your Social Security quarters. There are other folks, plenty of them, many more people that get some form of Social Security because their spousal benefit. And that is what we refer to as the government pension offset. So the spouse works. My wife worked under TRS in Dripping Springs ISD, where we live. I paid Social Security. Let's presume she continues to work for TRS in an auxiliary staff personnel position, and I continue to pay Social Security for the rest of my life. Someday, when I pass away, she will be able to claim some Social Security benefit if her TRS retirement is not 2/3 greater than whatever it is that she may qualify for a spousal benefit. Okay? Because the government pension offset, unlike the windfall, has a totally separate formula. And their formula says, we'll take the pensioner, the state pensioner, we'll look at what the value of their annuity is per month, and multiply that by 2/3. Okay? So my math equations have to be easy. So let's say it's $1,500 a month she's getting from TRS. So 1,500 times 2/3 is $1,000 a month, right? So that is the calculating variable. Nothing happens to her TRS. We're just using that as a number, okay? So then they come over here and they say, oh, well, you know, Mr. Lee's passed away, and you would qualify for an $800 a month Social Security benefit. But because of this government pension offset, we're going to take the variable, the $1,000, we're going to subtract that from what you may qualify for under the spousal benefit, and that equals -200, so you're not going to get anything. That is a complete offset of the spousal benefit of the government pension offset.
Was that included in this Brady bill?
No, it's not included in the Brady
So
bill.
you're just working on the
We
bill?
are only working on the windfall. And the honest to goodness truth is, we should have had the windfall bill done 3 years ago.
Yeah, I know you've been working.
A long time.
Is this thing includes?
Same bill. It's Brady bill. It's the Brady bill. So Ted Cruz in October took the Brady bill
That was his platform, right? His platform.
and introduced it and that was, look, everybody has a right to be cynical during the election process. You should be. We're voters, right? So believing everything every politician says to us, not a good thing, okay? Believing what occurs by action, so what do I have? I've got Ted Cruz, who's a former employee of the Texas Retired Teachers Association, just so you know. He was a consultant to ours on a legal matter. It's a whole other story. But he filed a bill. That is the Brady bill. And some people said the only reason he filed it is because the Brady bill is getting lots of credit from educators all over the country. And so he'll use this to potentially get votes. At that point, I want the windfall elimination provision fixed. And now I have a bill in the United States Senate.
So he is on the Brady bill?
Well, he took the Brady bill.
Okay.
So I don't know what he's going to do with
He
it.
keeps asking me that.
Okay, I have no idea what he's going to do. Here's what I know, is that come January and the new Congress gets seated, it's just going to get a whole lot harder to get the Brady bill passed. Because Brady's currently the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, and then he'll fall into the ranking member position. And the Democrats don't want the Brady solution. They'd rather, well, there's two schools of thought on it. They either want more and a full repeal, or they just want the issue. I don't know, we'll see. It's not Democrats versus Republicans, it's ideology versus opportunity. And when you see the new Congress, ideology will take shape, and policy is going to take a back seat for a little bit. So I'm desperate to try and get this bill passed. I have no idea. I think there's a 50-50 chance. If you pick up your newspaper or look at your feeds, whatever website you all want to look at today, whether it's Fox News or MSNBC, you will see Kevin Brady, stock image of Kevin Brady, talking about a tax bill. And that tax bill has everything in it. I mean, tax incentives for electric cars all the way to horse racing. And the objective is to create this huge Christmas tree and try to pass something in Congress so that when those members go back home, they'll bring home the presents. It's what we call an omnibus bill. And it could go down in flames, but we've got to hitch a ride on something that's passable. And that's what everybody's laying their hopes on, is that somebody will throw something out there, and whatever's on the wall that sticks is what's going to ride along with it.
So what plan would you do?
What's that?
What can we do to help?
Right now,
What was her question?
what can we do to help? I would strongly see a congressional member in this area, is that Louis Gohmert, and other members. I think Congressman Gohmert signed on to the Brady bill.
Yeah, he has.
So my suggestion to y'all is find a phone or an email, call that Washington D.C. office and say, whatever it takes,
Stay with it.
pass that bill, because that's what we need. And so anyway, that's the federal stuff. The GPO stuff was supposed to come after we had this great, strong coalition of support around the web. The web was the easier of the two to fix. All right? And it's been nothing. It's 4 years later. Congress, I can't think of anything more difficult at this point in time than getting a bill passed from Congress. So, literally, it takes an act of Congress. So, now that I've ticked all the Democrats off and all the Republicans off, please understand, I only care about winning. I only care about winning for you. If I could create a political party that was retired teacher, that's the party that I would be part of. And here we are on the eve of the next Texas legislative session. And we have a lot riding on this next session. The good news is that I believe, Republican or Democrat, we have a lot of friends in the Texas legislature. I do. You may not think that after the last time that our healthcare plan just went through all those drastic changes. But I've had more elected officials contact me personally and say, Tim, I want to know what it's going to take to fix these issues that retirees keep calling us about. So you all have made an impression on elected officials. So much so, and I was sitting here talking with Mark about this at lunch, you have one elected official whose mother-in-law is a retired teacher in Arlington. And he is ready to file a bill that says, legislators, my fellow legislators, if we think that health insurance is so good for retired teachers, we should take it ourselves. So I'm telling you, this is going to be an interesting session. Because right now, bills getting drafted that would move the elected class, not state employees, but the elected class out of state employees retirement health insurance, or state employees retiree health insurance, ERS healthcare plan, ERS Select, whatever it's called, and put them into TRS care. Now, I would say also that this man does not believe that his bill will pass. But he's ready for a statement to be made. Because his words, I talked to him last week, I've listened to way too many of my fellow elected officials, and he didn't say Republicans or Democrats, he said my fellow elected officials, that will rail on the federal government for passing Obamacare. And yet, as congressional members, they still keep their own congressional health care. So all those people came back and said, oh, we can't stand Obamacare, but we kept our congressional insurance. And he's saying, how can I tell my mother-in-law that I'm going to get my state health care for free in a much better plan, but you have to take an inferior health insurance product because you're a state retired teacher, and I just don't know, again, this is him saying, I don't know what the value difference is between an educator and a legislator, so much so that we give ourselves something better and give teachers something less. So we'll see what happens. But healthcare will be a big issue. We need a lot of money to fix healthcare. Matter of fact, let me back up. There is no solution to healthcare. There's either you pay for it and you get it, or you pay a lot less for the insurance itself, and then you pick up the rest of the cost yourself. So for TRS Care, 365 coverage that is high deductible, meaning that you pay a premium and you keep paying that premium every month until you hit the deductible. Once you hit the deductible, then you still have an out-of-pocket maximum. We have comparisons. Now, we can make comparisons with the private sector, and I can tell you that the private sector does not offer anything near as beneficial as a $1,500 deductible and a $200 a month premium. That's pretty good. But I also can tell you that there are state workers, and I know somebody's going to say, well, we're not state employees, but just hear me out for a second. There are people that get health care funded in the state budget where the cost of the plan is fully funded. And only the legislature, not you, not the school district, not the teacher retirement system in Texas, only the legislature can control the funding mechanisms for retired teacher health care. And somebody may say, well, somebody's got to pay more. Okay. Who's going to pay it? Only the legislature can decide. Because the answer is that if nobody agrees that the funding mechanisms will change, the payer of last resort is you. So this plan will exist so long as your pocketbooks can continue to pay for it. And in other plans, it doesn't work that way. Let me put it this way. So I'm not going to pick on legislators anymore. Let me pick on just TRS for a second. The teacher retirement system in Texas, in my opinion, is the greatest teacher retirement system in the nation. It is one of the few pension systems that has not ever had a major controversial, illegal activity that has occurred. I'm from Illinois, home of bad behavior when it comes to how you run your pension systems. It's a disgrace to tell Texas taxpayers that our teacher pension cannot survive because it has done everything right for 80 plus years. And our pension system is managed by employees who work for the teacher retirement system of Texas. They are state employees. They pay into a pension fund as state employees, not to ERS, but to the teacher retirement system. So, like you, those TRS employees will draw a pension from the teacher retirement system. But their health care, for now and forevermore, comes from the state employee's health care plan. And you pay for it. Tens of millions of dollars a year you pay for state health care for those workers at TRS. And honestly, I think they deserve and earn that health care benefit. But I will tell you, I don't think that any of you deserve anything less than what you're willing to buy. What's that? There is not a single penny that comes out of the state budget that funds the teacher retirement system of Texas administrative operations. So when the TRS employees get a raise, you pay for it out of the trust fund. The state of Texas doesn't pay for it. When the healthcare costs go up, an ERS, the legislature doesn't have to appropriate more money for that. You pay for it out of the trust fund. When TRS investment officials earn money on your pension fund, they get a bonus. And God bless them for it. Because if they're getting bonuses, y'all are making a lot of money. And those employees are staying with TRS and not leaving to go off to some hedge fund in San Francisco or some private equity firm where they're going to make 10 times more money. They're sticking around because the bonus gets paid and they earn the bonus, but they don't get paid the bonus until a few years later. So, but you've got this bonus structure. Current state law says that no retired teacher shall ever get any increase in their benefits unless the pension system can amortize their unfunded liabilities within a 31-year time period. same provision does not exist for the people who work at TRS. If they get paid more, they earn a bonus. Does the legislature pay for it? No. It comes out of the teacher retirement system in Texas. So I believe, it's my own personal opinion, that there are lots of levers that can be used to improve the livelihood of our educators and not undermine the future of our current active teachers. Because those levers are getting pulled for other people, just not for the people who are paying into the system. So we're going to come into this session. We as an organization are going to be very aggressive about what it is that our expectations are for TRS. Because I promise you, I've seen it. I have seen other states play the "you didn't tell me then" card. My own former state. Those people that are in that office right now, they will tell people that are in a TRS plan or an ERS plan, well, I'm elected now. You didn't tell us back then that if we didn't put this money in, we'd have to pay for this someday. What do you want me to do about it now? TRS changed the rate of return assumption from 8% to 7.25%. It'll be the basis of everything that we talk about in the coming legislative session. Do we get a raise? How do we deal with that 7.25% change? Do we get the pension system maintained for all future retirees? How are we going to deal with the revenue loss on that 7.25%? We added $10 billion of unfunded liability the second the TRS made that decision. Why did they make that decision? I'm not going to get into it. There are a lot of reasons for it. Did they lower it too much? I would argue they did. Did they lower it enough? There were people in the legislature that come back and say they should have said it's 3%. That's the bond rate of return, not this 7.25%. You can't earn 7.25%. So you've got people who have opinions all over the map. Here's what I know. There's this document in Texas that we call the Texas Constitution. And it does not make it optional to have the teacher retirement system in Texas. It requires it, not by statute, but by constitutional obligation. And the state of Texas is required to fund no less than 6% of pay and up to 10% of pay to cover the costs of the teacher retirement system in Texas. And not by statutory definition, but by constitutional requirement. Article 16, Section 67 of the Texas Constitution says, TRS will be managed with sound actuarial principles. And the Attorney General, in 2007, that staff that worked for the Attorney General in 2007 testified in an interim meeting saying that sound actuarial principles means that the legislature is on the hook for maintaining actuarial soundness of the teacher retirement system. Now that person is now the governor. But I don't believe his opinion has changed in any way. We know that our pension system will not sustain an increase in your benefits until the year, I can't even calculate it out in my head. What is today? 2018? What's 87 years from now? TRS will receive a report in 2 weeks saying the next time retirees can expect a raise is 87 years. Amen, sister. If we want to see something done, we have to do it now. Because every year we wait, $1 today will cost multiples of that dollar even in the next session. If we do the right thing now, will it hurt a little bit? Yes, it will. What does that look like 87 years from now? It means that y'all would have $500 billion in your pension fund. Now, we may not be around to care. Some of y'all are thinking that right now, right? You're probably thinking this speech is going to go on for 87 years. I'm winding it up right now, I'm telling you. Sure as you all are sitting here today, I promise you, there was somebody back 50 or 60 years ago that was a part of this organization, that was part of the Texas legislature, and they said we need to do the right thing. And they did it. And here we are today. If you would have told somebody in in 1940 that in 2018, your teacher pension system will be the 7th largest pension fund in the nation, the 17th largest pension fund in the country, in the world, would make more money than ExxonMobil, they wouldn't believe you then. But here we are, $150 billion in that trust fund, going into a session where 181 members will be able to make a decision. Do we put a little bit more in so that 3 generations down the road, our future legislatures won't be worried about whether or not we can maintain the plan? When all other states' pension plans fall apart, it does not mean that we as Texans have to follow the same path, because we haven't since day one. We're different. We're better. We can fix this so long as the legislature has the will to do it. And I believe they do. I believe they want a solution. I believe they want a fix. It is going to take all 140 days of us working together to get that done. So, will you get a raise? I'm going to fight for one. Will it happen? I don't know. I'll answer very honestly. If the legislature adopts the funding protocol and the funding suggestions that we're recommending, and that all the school districts make the 1.5% contribution, there's no reason in the world that you couldn't get a raise. And that the pension system wouldn't be solvent decades into the future. No reason that it couldn't happen. Is it likely to happen? I don't know. You never know what's going to happen in the legislative session. I know one thing. There are probably plenty of elected officials that are angry at us for standing up for what we believe in. And some of you may be angry at some of these elected officials for standing up for things that they say they believe in. But as long as we continue to be angry at each other all the time, nothing will get done. So I'm going into this session with an open mind. Going in, an open door policy. All I'm going to ask for you, it doesn't matter what political party you're a part of or anything else, I just ask this one thing. As we get into this session, and you contact your elected officials, ask them to do the right thing, promote our agenda, and do it in the most constructive way possible. There's always another election, right? There's always another election. We can decide on those things later, but now we all have to work together and deal with policy. So that's what we need to deal with. Healthcare, pension funding, all kinds of stuff. We're going to fight for it. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
Are defined benefits going to come up in this session?
Absolutely. Somebody will file a bill that says get rid of the defined benefit plan. The fact that we're going into a pension system that's now increased its total unfunded liability by $10 billion, you will have somebody who will say, these plans are not sustainable. And the answer to that is, what other option do you have? Because nothing that I've seen yet is a lower cost than what we currently, just to fix what we have. Fix what we have, and you can manage those costs over the next future generations. If you change it to something else, you still got to put money into something. State employees, ERS is getting a 10% contribution. 10% contribution for their state retirement system, and they're getting 12.4% of coverage to the Social Security system. 95% of teachers in Texas, no Social Security. School districts, we're going to defend somebody who works for the school district in here. School districts are not putting enough money towards the cost of retirement for their employees. I live in Dripping Springs. Say that again. In Dripping Springs, we pay 1.5% additional cost to teacher retirement system, but in Austin AISD, they don't pay the 1.5% because they made a choice to pay the Social Security program. That didn't lower the cost of TRS. It's just a give and take. If we're going to sustain TRS, everybody has to put a little bit more in. And that means the state, that means the school districts. Even the active teachers would argue we should put some more in. Here's the problem though. They're already at 7.7% of pay. The state is at 4%. School districts are at 2.8%. There is no single retirement system in the country that is getting less than what Texas is putting into TRS as a percentage of pay. Not one. Even the ones that are coordinated with Social Security get more than 4%. And that 4% is on the actual appropriations bill, general revenue contribution, 4%. Teachers are putting in 7.7% of pay. At a minimum, we should be telling the state and the school districts, you're the employer, you will put in exactly the same amount that you're putting into the state, or that the active teacher's putting in. Not a percentage of payroll less.
I agree.
That's my alarm telling me that I'm supposed to be on a phone call with somebody about this web deal. All right, I'm gonna take one last question, then I gotta get out of here. Thoughts, concerns? Yes, ma'am.
Could you speak to the organization called, is it Texas for Public Education?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Is that a good organization?
Well, I don't know if I can say it's a good or bad organization. So, as far as I know, Texas for Public Education is it started as a social media movement of people that are like-minded educators saying they were really focused on vouchers to begin with. And so that Facebook group turned into a place where teachers and school employees who are not wanting to represent their school district that they were working for, they're just showing up at this place and saying, here's what I think I've heard, this is what I have heard. And so that group, during this last election cycle, came up with a list of friendly and unfriendly. And I don't make it a, TRTA is a nonpartisan, we don't endorse. So it's really difficult for me to say it's a good or bad, it depends on how you want to look at it. But it's a group that took a stand in saying, here are the reasons why we said these things about these people. Were they right on everybody? I don't know. All I know is that I've spoken at their events. Some legislators like them, other legislators don't. It's just like any other group. You could say that about Texans for Fiscal Responsibility. Or Empower Texans. Some legislators like them, some legislators don't. It just depends on what they may be saying about you more than anything else.
But we have grown.
Good. I think every group that is out there to do something that supports their interest deserves to be heard. So I represent TRTA. We got a pretty big stick when it comes to working in the legislature. So, any other thoughts?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank God for your brain.
How amazing you are saying. Very good. All right, y'all. I'm serious about this adopt a local thing. I want to do that. I want to do it here. So, good. Well, call me at Christmas. I want to talk to you. All right. Bye, Evelyn. Love you. Good to see you. Thanks for lunch. See you guys. Nice to be here. I know, absolutely. Tell them I said hello. So last time we had a conversation, but as far as I'm concerned, it's great work. Good. Thanks, sir, very much.
Thanks, John.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Kind of skimmed over the minutes a while ago. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes? Moving on, then. Birthdays. Jan, are you ready to do birthdays?
November birthday. Anybody get that?
November birthdays.
They don't give presents. You go in the next
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Family. Happy birthday to you.
Okay, I believe that brings us to announcements, so we're getting close to finishing up. Reminder again, convention in Austin, April 1 through 3. I said I was going to come back to this at the end. I'm not sure right now how many we're going to be able to pay for. I do have a sign-up sheet back here if you're interested. Please sign up. I did check on hotel reservations, and the conference hotel is in Austin Hilton. And they still had some rooms left this weekend when I called. You reserve 2 under your own name. I believe Margaret said there might be a possibility at the Marriott.
Hotel right next door, just right next to it.
Yeah, it's right across the street. And I may even look at that, but I think the only rooms available at the Hilton the other day were single, or 1 bed. But what happened last year holds true. A lot of people make reservations and cancel, and other times rooms will open up. But we also have a sign up for Rally Day on April the 3rd. Need participation in that. I hope we get enough people to rent a vehicle and go down there, have a nice ride down there. That's the day that you go see your legislators and senators and tell them how you feel about the issues that affect us. Very important, by the way. And believe me, I'm probably one of the most cynical people you'll run into. But I feel like if you contact your representatives and senators, it does make a difference. If you don't, that makes a difference too. Not in your favor. So don't hesitate to contact them. They actually need to hear, and they want to hear. Most of them want to hear from their constituents. Say that I think that our membership has declined, and I know I've dropped the ball on doing some things about that, but I think we're about to get ready to do some things to get it back where it needs to be. But I think a lot of people, when they retire, just want to get out of it and not want to be bothered. Think that things will take care of themselves like they always have. We're in a new era now. You can't sit back and expect somebody to represent your interests unless you let them know what those interests are and be active in doing so. That's why we're so fortunate to have the TRTA. But again, you've got to be informed locally to make decisions. You can't just not vote or whatever and expect the TRTA to work miracles on your behalf up there. You've got to let your express yourself about what you think needs to be done. Jen, I'm going to ask you again, Jen, will you talk about the Christmas program just briefly? This information is in the next newsletter coming out, but we thought we would mention it.
They should have gotten an email too. It was in the email about this meeting. The group is called.
Oh, that's right. It was in the email.
It's called V-Brace. Has anybody ever heard them play? I have not. When I played the handbell group, we had like 13 people in our group. This has 4 people in it. And anyway, I just think handbells are cool, and so I thought that would be a cool Christmas program. So they're from Pollard Baptist Church. They do play a lot. I think the woman told me that most of them work really close, so they can just come real quick to play for us for 30 minutes, and then but they're going to play secular and religious Christmas music for us. So I think you'll really enjoy it. Kind of start off the Christmas program sometime next month. That's our program.
And that one's coming up pretty soon. It's December the 11th. A couple more things on future meetings. We're going to have a long-range planning meeting in January, and we really need you to be here and participate in that. Membership is one of the main things we're going to target on how to improve that. We need your input. And that will be structured a little bit different than our ordinary meetings are. It'll be more of a workshop. And I think Margaret is going to facilitate that. We'll mention too, I didn't put it on the announcements, but I believe it's in March, we're going to have a fundraiser. And I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I think we'll make enough money for us to be in good shape financially. I wish we had done it earlier in the year, so we would know how much we have going into the convention and so forth. But we weren't thinking at that time that we would need it that way. I've wondered ever since I've been a member why we didn't do a fundraiser. spend very much money. We spend money on the yearbooks and sending people to the convention, a little bit on mileage for very few people that go places, which is very limited. And what else do we spend money on? I can't think of anything.
Scholarship.
Scholarship, yeah.
And mailing.
Membership.
Yeah. So, the membership decline, that's where we got our money is from the dues. And, we lose members and don't replace them, and then our revenue goes down. And, Margaret is, about to comment on that.
On the fundraiser, we're going to have a game day, and so you be picking out your partners to play some games. You can play bridge, you can play mahjong, you can play go fishing, you can play dominoes, you can play ways doesn't matter. This is a fundraiser, but you need to want a table of 4, and we're going to have lunch. We start at 11 o'clock, we'll eat lunch, and then we're going to play games all day, and we're going to set up a silent auction. Now, what I would like you to do is pick out something in your house that you think has value that you really don't want. Now, if you don't have anything, you'll probably get something for Christmas. Save it and bring it so that we put it in a silent auction. But we plan to make at least a couple of $1,000 off this auction and off this game. But we're going to need everybody, bring 3 friends, have to play, you board a table, you and 3 others for this game day. And I'll have some forms for you at the next meeting or I'll get it to you. Okay?
And it's gonna be at Glenwood
In your church.
Church of Christ, not here. But we'll put that information out, a couple of times, before now and then.
They won't let us eat on carpets here.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have a style show from Chico's also.
What was that style show from
Chico's.
Chico?
Well, we eat.
While we're eating.
All right, we'll look for something to donate and show up with friends, and, so we need to make a little extra money this year. I've included again, the note about the Facebook page, and, we haven't been having any. I was hoping, my hope for that, a couple of years ago, was, first of all, we'd get it in place, and we could use it as a communication tool. Well, we've only 5 of us are communicating on it so far, so get on there and like it, and let's get it moving. We'll try to start putting more pictures on there. I've been a little remiss on that, I just don't think of it, when I should, but I'm gonna continue to try to do better on that. Lynn, did you have something?
You know, you put some kind of a number out there to get on that Facebook page, and I had no idea what that was, but I don't know how to get on it. So maybe I'm not the only one.
Did you go to this site right here, listed at the bottom?
I'll try to.
Put that in your browser. If you search Smith County, in the Facebook search,
Smith County.
if you search Smith County, retired teachers and school personnel association, that will get you there. Now, you have to be careful, because there's another Smith County somewhere in Missouri or somewhere that you might select that instead. But if you just search it, you can find it. And look for the one that has about 5 people looking at it. And that'll be it.
Also on the fundraiser, we discussed possibly, if you know a business that might buy a table for $100,
Yeah.
that's an option too. We'll talk about that next
Yeah,
time.
we'll send that out about, the details about the fundraiser, we'll send out, well in advance. Like Gene said, we're gonna have, tables available, people to purchase the table, and that's one way to make some money, so. Businesses, whatever, that wanna donate.
We'll make sure we put a, placard on that table that was bought by that business to, promote their.
Our primary, I guess, goal is to fund the scholarship and then the other things that we do. It doesn't really take that much money, but we're a little short, we're gonna be a little short on to make some money for this fundraiser.
Kevin Masters, Edward Jones' office will sponsor one of those tables for $100. Kevin Masters, Edward Jones' office.
Here we go. All right. Thank you, David. one. And Gladys was saying, I don't know if you could hear or not, we only get $10 of your membership for local. And we have a good many members, but that's still not a lot of money. It's a real bargain too for people who want to encourage to join. It only costs you, $10 for a year. Hope you get your money's worth out of that. I think we have brought you a lot of information, and so forth, and, I think the $10 is well spent. Plus, we give a nice scholarship to a deserving young person, et cetera. So it's a good thing. Anybody have any more announcements before we close?
Mark, our attendance for today is 71.
71, not bad. Do we have any new members? I skipped that.
Yes, we have one new member. If she would like to stand up, she's joining Sharon K. Elliott. And let's give her a hand. Kay, would you like to share with the group where you're from?
I'm retired medic from Katy Dynasty, and my mother was here, and I was born to, so I came back.
All right.
We're glad to have you. Thanks for joining us. I hope a few more of y'all that came today will join. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Cynthia Cambridge, and I'm joining today from Tyler ISD. I taught 36 years here in Tyler.
Let's give her a hand. Make sure you got her contact information.
Now, Mark, that is Miss Ray's daughter.
Oh, wonderful. I see. Okay. And if you, I know y'all, or some of y'all that are, I've been retired long enough now, but I don't have any contacts in the schools anymore. I don't know anybody, but some of y'all have not been retired that long. You still have people that you communicate with, encourage them. We need them, we need members. If nothing else, is to save our retirement system. We gotta have the membership and the numbers, and we gotta be informed about what's going on, what's happening in our behalf tonight.
Yeah, we were discussing at lunch, I remember, I didn't know anything about retirement when I was raised. I retired, and B. Marshall, who's still a member, called me and asked me to join. Yeah, sure, I'll join that. And look around now. But anyway, we need to get the word out there. If we're not in the organization, we're in it, we know, but a lot of people don't know what's going on. And I remember when I was calling people on the at-large, which means they join the state but don't join our local. I'm in it for the long-term care. They have these reasons, the reason they join, but we need to get them involved. Even if they're not in the local, we need to make sure they understand.
Well, I was the same way. I didn't know much about it when I retired. Wayne talked to me a couple of times, and that's the second time. It took him about a year, and I finally joined and learned a lot. I didn't know anything about all these issues until after I retired. And I wish there was some avenue for us to get more information to active teachers, but I'm not sure what it is. We haven't figured it out yet. But anyway, I thank you very much for your attendance today, and hope you have a great holiday. I hope to see you in December. I think we'll have an entertaining program. And we hope to see you on the 11th. And don't forget to remember the fundraiser and the foundation donation. Thanks very much.